Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the first episode in our new series in the Jailend, where we catch up with some familiar faces from the Ross County journey. Tonight I'm delighted to be joined by a man that needs no introduction, former Staggies midfielder, current Formartine United manager, Paul Lawson. Paul, welcome. First of all, how are you coping during the lockdown?
Probably much and such like everyone else. Just getting on with things as best as you can. Going out for our daily walks and things like that. But I was trying to do a bit of running, trying to get back into the old, doing the 5Ks like most. But I was lucky to have it. I haven't done a lot of road running lately just due to calf problems that I've had over the last few years. It was going well. I'd probably done about 3 or 4 times. We're getting good. But unfortunately, I've had to get a few problems with my calf again. So I've had to take a couple of weeks rest. So probably have to go and buy a bike and get on it that way.
Age isn't coming alone, Paul. Obviously, right now you're the first team manager at Formartine United in the Highland League. Have you found it difficult to interact and communicate with the squad during this time? How have things been with the club?
It's obviously different. We've got group chats. You know, we've got one with the coaches. We've got one with players and coaches, and then the boys obviously have their own one. But we've tried to keep in touch with that. We've set up a group on Strava, so keeping tabs on the boys going out running and such like to keep the fitness up. So just little things like that. I mean, obviously the Strava thing, it's not a compulsory thing because technically it's closed season at the moment. So it was just to try and get a bit of camaraderie going between the boys, who can beat whose time and such like, just to keep spirits up and keep in contact with the boys that way. Difficulty wise, in terms of I've had to let a couple of players go, so that wasn't conversations you don't like having over the phone, but such as the situation we're in, it had to be done. It wasn't nice, and then also boys coming at the end of contract, try to get contracts signed. Again, difficult. We're having to send them to the boys' houses and they're signing them and send them back. So it's very different, but we're finding ways around it. But I think I'm like everyone in saying can't wait for it to return.
I think we're all in the same boat with that one, Paul. Obviously, the Highland League was one of the first leagues to be called across the world, and was obviously something that Formartine United and yourself backed. And did you see it as the sensible option at the time?
I think probably because Brora were champions and waiting as far as I was concerned, and they had such a good season. It wasn't as if the title race was wide open. Then that maybe a few teams could have argument, because in other leagues you see it's tighter and you kind of can see where teams are coming from. But I think the general consensus within our league was Brora were going to win it. I think we only had a few games to win, although we were still to play them, but we were miles out of it anyway. We had a poor sort of earlier part of the season, which kind of killed our challenge anyway. So for me, it was the only option, to be honest, because then we can start afresh once things open up again, and we can go for next season.
Absolutely. And now, Paul, you've been in management now for Martin for quite a while, and obviously a big part of your role will be developing and nurturing the younger players that are hungry to have their chance, similar to the pathway that you went down as a youngster. Obviously, we've seen that for Martin with Jailend, your nephew. How, is that the part of your job that you enjoy, developing, nurturing the talent coming through?
I think in Jailend's case, he'd obviously taken a knock. Aberdeen released him, and he wasn't sure what he was wanting to do. He had a couple of offers to go, but do you know what? It hit him quite hard, and the whole route to go full-time football kind of took a back seat. He came from Martin and got games under his belt. Absolutely loved it. Got the love for the game back. He played really well for us, and obviously his move came about, so it got his love back for the game. So from that point of view, I love seeing that, because I very much love the game myself. I would play it to any level, whether it's fives out down at the local park or whatever. I just love playing it. So it was great to see him getting that appetite back. So that's great to see. We've got, our squad was a wee bit aging, so we have got younger lads coming in now. probably the level we're at, you know, you're picking up boys who have maybe been released. I mean, take Aaron Norris, for example. You know, he'd been released from Aberdeen as well, gone to Peterhead, and we've taken him on. And he's, you know, we had him on loan for a while, done superb, taken back permanently, and he's carried on where he'd left off. So seeing that, you know, you do get pleasure in seeing the young players coming in and doing well. But I also enjoy working with the experienced boys, because I took the job at, I would say, you know, quite a young age, learning every day, every training session, every game. You're still learning things, and I always feel it's important you get the experienced boys to give their opinion and discussions and how things are going, and they're key to it as well, because ultimately they, you know, have a closer relationship with the rest of the squad than I maybe do now. You know, at one point they were all my friends and such like, but I think, you know, it's important you lean on them. So both sides of it, it is enjoyable to a point. Don't get me wrong, I've said it time and again, I'll never replace playing for me. I know some people look at management and see it as a, you know, they enjoy it more. But don't get me wrong, the wins, the satisfaction you get out of a win, or if you've worked on something at training and it comes off in a game, then that you know, you get pleasure from that. But ultimately for me, nothing beats playing.
Paul, obviously you said there that you went into management relatively young. How did the process come about for you becoming the manager at Formartine United? Because it seemed to happen fairly swiftly for you.
Yeah, the chairman locked me in a room and said, "You're not getting out till you take the job." So I had no choice. But no, the previous manager, he resigned. I was still, like I say, I'd come off the back of a 2-year spell at Motherwell, where I'd, you know, barely kicked a ball through injury, and I came to Formartine, and I got the love of the game back as well, playing every week and just enjoying it with a good side. We were playing really well, so I was enjoying all that. And then the chairman approached me. No, a few people had actually said to me, you know, you should apply for the job. And for me, I hadn't even crossed my mind. I was wanting to keep playing, and I still thought I had a few years left in me. And I just felt if I'd taken the job, it would curtail, you know, my playing time. And subsequently, that's what happened. But you know, the chairman approached me, and when I sat down and thought about it, you know, I thought, you know, it is a good opportunity. Maybe come sooner than I probably would have planned. But ultimately, they're, you know, one of the top sides in the league, and if you turn it down, you never know when you might get the opportunity again. So I spoke to my brother-in-law, and he was a big factor in it as well. I asked him to be my assistant, because I wanted somebody by my side who I could trust, and with his experience as well, I thought it would be invaluable. So, you know, a lot hinged on whether he would accept the role, and which he did. So from there on, we kind of said, let's go for it, and see how we get on.
And did you find the transition from playing to management, you know, the flipping from being one of the guys to being the leader in the dressing room, was that a tough transition for you?
It was. Don't get me wrong, I was always vocal, and people that played with me will tell you that. I moaned a lot, don't get me wrong. But you know, I was quite vocal. But like I say, you're friends with all these guys one week and going on nights out and things, and then the next week you're having to tell one of them they're not in the team, and so that was difficult. I was at the point where I was fitter than I am right now, so I've been playing. I left myself out a couple of times when I probably shouldn't, but it was the easy option. Now in hindsight, you know, I look back and think that was a mistake. But and Russell kept saying to me, you know, you would be, you know, if it was another person in charge, they would be playing you, so you play yourself. But I just felt the couple of games that I did play, you're trying to do everything on the park except concentrate on your own game, and I felt that was affecting me as well. So you know, I had to kind of take a step back. But in terms of training, I still join in training, still do all that, so I still enjoy that. But there's definitely parts to it that were very hard to take. And like I say, because I do enjoy playing so much, standing at the sidelines is very tough.
Brings its own challenge. Paul, just to round up on the Formartine front, it's been well documented in the past how ambitious your chairman and your board are there in Pitmid. What are the plans, aims, ambitions for the club going forward now?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's no secret that the chairman's wanting to win the league, and I'm the same. You know, like I said, I didn't come into the job with any targets, but you know, as I've been in it, you start setting yourself some, and certainly winning the leagues. For me, I think Cove have proven that, you know, they've gone up and held their own, well, more than held their own. So it just shows you. I think prior to that, a few clubs in our league maybe were a bit sceptical about going into League Two, you know, financially and whether they could compete. But I think Cove have obviously shown that the Highland League teams can compete, you know, with the teams further south, and you know, along with ourselves, there's a few others that I'm sure could do a job. So it's certainly an aim of ours, first and foremost, to win the championship, and then, you know, progress depending on league setup and what happens there. But yeah, and ultimately to progress into the football league.
Well, Paul, I'm sure you're the man that's going to be able to lead the club to that. I've seen firsthand Formartine this season, and they looked a very good outfit. I'm very impressed. So no doubt you're building some great foundations there to hopefully take them to the championship. Moving on to your playing career, obviously you've written yourself into the history books here in Dingwall. When you look back on your time with Ross County, what are your most memorable moments, most poignant times with the club?
Hi everybody, I hope you're keeping safe and well during this difficult period.
As you can see, lockdown's not been very good to me.
I joined Ross County in 2017. We've already made some great memories along the way.
One thing we've always shown is how together we are, and I believe there's no better time to show that than now.
I want the next generation of kids in the Highlands to have the same opportunities that I've had.
I have been fortunate enough to win a league title and an Iron Brew Cup.
I've seen the commitment and the hard work that goes on a daily basis behind closed doors.
I want to continue to see this club progress.
So that's the reason I've signed up to join the Staggies Army.
And I'm hoping that you can join up as well, and we can make some more memories together.
See if we can create the next chapter in the club's history.
Help make more memories in the Premiership.
Well, first and foremost, you know, I'm immensely proud of everything that we achieved as a group, albeit probably a couple of different teams I played in from my whole time there. But ultimately, the journey we went on from the old second division right the way through, you know, it was incredible. And I just felt every year that I was there, we had something to look forward to, or we achieved something, you know, whether it be a league championship or a Challenge Cup final or the Scottish Cup final, another championship, you know, every year. And then even my final year, finishing 5th in the Premier League. So I think there was always something, we always improved on something, or we had something for the fans to look forward to, for us to look forward to, something to celebrate. And I just think there's so many memories, so many good times, players I played with, the dressing room, typical dressing room banter, everything, games, you know, there was obviously sometimes injuries, when I look back, were tough. I had a tough few months with you know, a spell out the side in the Premier League the first year we went up, but ultimately I still look back with fond memories.
And you know, you've said it there, winning trophies, having success. It just seemed to catapult from one level to another for Ross County at that time, with Challenge Caps, with the Scottish Cup run, then the promotion to the Premier League. It was almost like a bit of an unbelievable chain of events for you all, and then to try and process that in your own mind, and in what was relatively a short space of time, 3 to 5 years, where everything just seemed to be compacted in such a short space.
Yeah, we had a really good group of players. Yeah, we were all mates and we all got on so well, and I think that helped. Obviously, that played its part, but I think just, you know, what we did, we went into every game. You know, it showed against Celtic. Maybe we didn't perform as well as we were liked in the final, but that whole cup run, going down to Easter Road, we had belief we could win the game. You know, we generally went into every game. We didn't think anybody was better than us. Yes, that comes with some results in winning games, but there was a genuine belief in that changing room that we were good players, and you know, the manager obviously installed that in us as well. But we went out there, I wouldn't say the shackles were off, but we like to express ourselves.
And Paul, obviously you've been at Ross County, your spell at Motherwell, you came through the ranks at Celtic, just to name a few. You know, who were the 2 or 3 guys, you know, growing up and then coming through these clubs that really kind of were your leaders that put the arm around you and guided you to be the best you could be?
I think, obviously starting out at Celtic, I think Willie McStay, being my youth team coach there, he was a massive influence. I would say he taught me the game in a sense. You know, he laid the foundations. It's funny now, you look back and I see it myself when I'm coaching. You stop and you're walking through things and you can see the boys are bored and oh, here we go again. And I remember being that one when I was 17, 18, and he was stopping a session and walking through things, and it's getting into your brain, although you don't think you're taking it in, but it actually is. And Willie certainly did teach me the game. And then I moved to reserve level, and Kenny McDowell taking the team, and he kind of prepared you for first team football. You know, he tried to turn you into a man, so to speak. And so they were, you know, good foundations for me. And then our experiences on loan at St Johnstone and St Mirren, and it's at that point you start looking to players. Don't get me wrong, I had that at Celtic, you had your experienced players, but you know, generally the majority of my time there I was spent in youth team reserves. I had a couple of years sort of in and around the first team. Guys like Paul Lambert, Neil Lennon, you know, they're the sort of ones I would look to. Obviously, still in Petrov, being centre midfielders. That's the sort of ones you look to talk about the game and such like. But it wasn't until I went on loan to St Johnstone that you start looking to the older pros, because you're playing alongside them week in, week out, like a Paul Sheeran, guys like that, that just look at how they go about their business and take things on board. Yeah, you might do things differently, but you can always learn something from somebody.
Absolutely. Paul, what's the one bit of advice, you know, this is probably for our younger fans that are watching this, you know, trying to make it through our academy or at academies across the world. What was the one bit of advice you were given growing up that's stuck with you the longest?
Well, for me, it's a simple one, and it's attitude and application, because I think growing up, yes, technically I was, you know, I wasn't too bad, but you know, I was never the best player in my school team or whatever, you know, but I had the right attitude, the dedication. Then yeah, that comes from my dad probably. He drummed that into me, and it wasn't pressure, you know, to be a footballer, because he knew that's what I wanted to do. But just try to guide me down the right paths, and it's eating right, resting up when you're meant to rest up, and don't go out with your mates on a Friday night, and then when you get to a certain level, that's the sort of things you have to do to get into a club and into full-time football, and then the real hard work starts. And practice. Again, that just comes down to attitude. You know, it's easy if you're after training, if you've got a bag of balls and want to go and do extra work, and you've got a couple of lads heckling you, saying how busy are you, you know, let's go. And you need to be strong-minded to go and learn things and keep practicing, because ultimately that's what will get you there, and that's what will keep you there.
And Paul, I know you've touched on it with saying how close the team were in your time in Dingwall, but you know, for Ross County, a team in the Highlands, small team from a small area, going into the Premier League in Scotland for the first time, you know, it must have been an incredible experience. But you actually competed incredibly well at that level against a very strong Premiership at that time.
Yeah, like I said, we went into, even going up. I think because of the season we had in the first division, we went into pre-season and there's the whole excitement, the whole buzz around the place that we're going into the Premier League. And I think for a number of us, myself included, that we'd been at so-called bigger clubs and maybe been released or not quite made it, and you feel as though you've got a point to prove, or I'm back where you wanted to be. Premier League right now, it's time to show what we can do, and we certainly did that. We probably did, in terms on paper, punch above our weight, but it wasn't something that we didn't think we couldn't achieve. Like I said, we went into every game confident that we could win. Came to places like Pittodrie. I think we had a win and a draw that season at Pittodrie. So it just shows you the quality that we had in the squad, and whether that teams took us too lightly, I don't know. But certainly the players we had the quality, and like I say, at the end of the season, it showed in our position on the table.
And it must be incredibly pleasing for you as someone that was part of that team leading the club to the Premiership for the first time, to look now in 2020, and with the exception of one season since then, the club has been in the Premier League. It's gone on to win a national trophy. You were part of the foundation of that, and it must be humbling to look back on that now.
I think obviously now, the club have obviously gone on to better things. Obviously winning the League Cup, and I know they obviously dropped back down, but the guys got them back to the Premier League, in which I believe that's where they should be, and we were the ones, done it first in a sense, so that's something that can never be taken away from us. Whether the club get relegated again or come back up or whatever, we were the first ones to get them into the Premier League, and that's something we look back with pride. But ultimately, you could go back to the guys that even played before us, that took the club from the old third division through, and then I just think that it's a small club, like you say, but it was just incredible what they've done and what they've gone on to, and I think the club has grown. You'd argue, did we put them on the map with the result against Celtic in the semi-final, perhaps, but I think it's certainly something that we look back with pride, and something that can never be taken away from us.
And obviously you played with Stuart Kettlewell, one co-manager. You knew Fergie from your time at the club as assistant manager and in his various guises. It must be great for you to see them going on and taking the reins at the club, and guys that truly bleed Ross County at the helm of the club.
Yeah, well, anybody asked me, I always say Ket's my bodyguard in a sense. I loved my time playing in the middle of the park with him. He would we used to joke, he would kick everyone and give the ball to me and that, but he looked after me, and I'll always be grateful to him for that. Fergie, when he came in, great coach, great enthusiasm for the game, and just bubbly around the place, and that's a massive thing. And it helped. Like I say, we had a good dressing room anyway, but he just added to that, and seeing what they've gone on to do is a great source of pleasure, and they totally deserve it.
Well, Paul, as we round things up with us here tonight, obviously your foot has been on the gas for a long time through your playing career, straight into management at the deep end. You've now set up your own little family there. What does the next few years look like for Paul Lawson?
Well, if you ask my missus, she'll say another one, but I don't know. No, do you know what? I try not to look too far ahead. At the moment, I'm enjoying where I'm at, enjoying the football. Although it's funny, I spent the majority of all my career, whether it be in Glasgow or Inverness. I know it's only 2.5 hours away from Aberdeen, but coming home has been a big help to me in the last few years. I've really enjoyed being back in Aberdeen. Who knows if that changes in the future? Who knows if I get back into full-time football? It's like I say, it's not something I've really looked at. I'm just enjoying where I'm at, enjoying the football, and I'm very keen to get Formartine where they want to be as well. So I feel as though it's not something I could ever walk away from until I've achieved what I would like to achieve there. But I think in football or whatever, you can never know what's going to happen.
Absolutely. Paul, it has been an absolute pleasure sitting down with you and having the chat tonight. I'm sure our fans will enjoy all the topics that we've covered. We wish you all the best at Formartine. We wish you all the best for your family, and hopefully we'll see you back in Dingwall in the not too distant future. Thank you very much for being our first guest and in the Jailend. And as I say, we look forward to seeing you soon and wish you all the best.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. Like I say, it's times I look back very fondly, and you don't get tired of talking about them, and it's just good that we have these memories to look back on.
Absolutely, not just for the fans, but for the players as well. Paul, thank you, and we shall see you soon.